The outcome of the monitoring exercise demonstrates that people in Malaysia are mature and peace-loving when championing a cause they believe in. The rally participants generally behave in a peaceful and calm manner. Most importantly, we witnessed that people from a wide variety of backgrounds across Malaysia participated in this rally without any conflict. This is contrary to the fear of possible racial disharmony or riots expressed by certain irresponsible public figures. If I may add here, on that day, a lot of the members of our monitoring team saw friends and acquaintances who are not aligned to any political party, whom they would categorize as very conservative people, but they were out there in the streets on Saturday because they were outraged by the way in which the government has mismanaged this entire situation. In respect of the participants, as I've said earlier, they were very peaceful participants, except for one eyewitness account of a few of the participants throwing plastic water bottles at a television station reporter. There were no other accounts of any unruly behavior by the rally participants. I now turn to the observations regarding the police force. It's been in the media, especially the social media, about the indiscriminate and excessive use of tear gas and water cannons. Now, there has already been no less than 2 Sohakam inquiry reports which talk about crowd control by the police, and they have come up with some very good recommendations. You do not engage by way of launching tear gas or use of water cannons. You actually adopt a collaborative approach with the crowd. What should happen in terms of crowd control is that the police force should minimize any show of non-lethal weapons, namely tear gas or water cannons, and of course firearms. What should happen is that certain police officers ought to be assigned to engage the crowd, to find out who's the leader amongst the crowd, and then to find out what is their intention. Are they intending to move forward, stay where they are, and how much time do they need to stay where they are, and whether there will be speeches made and for how long. What we found is that throughout Kuala Lumpur, there has been a mismanagement by the police in terms of the crowd control. They have used unnecessary and indiscriminately tear gas and water cannons when there was no need to do so. The crowd was peaceful. A lot of times what had happened was that the crowd were just gathered there, they held their position. The police, either through lack of any warning or inadequate warning, and by inadequate it would be insufficient time given for the crowd to disperse, they would then utilize the launching of tear gas and use of water cannons. And in so doing, of course, when you do not give time for the crowd to disperse and you launch a tear gas into the crowd, you will of course then have injuries, and people will be running away and will fall over and so on and so forth. All these tactics utilized by the police force on Saturday afternoon were wholly unnecessary. Worse was also a case, is again detailed in our monitoring team report, behind Daya Bumi. The crowd was actually squeezed in on both ends by the launching of tear gas. When you launch a tear gas, it is with the aim of dispersing the crowd. You do not then launch tear gas at both ends without any exit route for the crowd. That happened not only here behind Daya Bumi, it also happened in the Pudu Raya area, where there was a much larger crowd there. In respect of the Shin incident, our eyewitness account, and we have a short video to show that the water cannon actually went into the compound of the Shin, because the twin water spouts was being moved from one extreme right to the extreme left. Of course, the water will end up in the premises of Shin. Although we don't have a video footage from our monitoring team, but our eyewitness account is that yes, tear gas was launched and canister did land in Shin premises. Apart from indiscriminate arbitrary use of tear gas and water cannon. There was also very unnecessary random arrests. We ourselves, the office bearers, saw with our own eyes as the crowd was dispersing. FRU then moved forward into the crowd with plainclothes policemen behind the FRU line, who then ran out to start arresting people at random. There's no need for that. People were already dispersing. So, which is why you would find that there were almost 1,700 arrests on the day itself, because of all these random mass arrests, wholly unnecessary. There was no threat to public order at all. We cannot understand why the government has not taken heed of the recommendations and suggestions of Suhakam. Suhakam has produced any number of reports on the issue of freedom of assembly. They've had, as I've said, 2 inquiries into rallies. They've come up with short-term, medium-term, long-term measures on what the police and government must do about this. Of course, what we want to ultimately see is Section 27 and the requirement for police permit to be abolished, and all that is necessary is for notification of a demonstration, and then for a cooperative or collaborative model where police and the demonstrators and any third-party affected individuals to engage in dialogue to map out the route of the demonstration. We also want to acknowledge a particular location in Kuala Lumpur which we think is an exemplary model of how crowd control was handled, and that is the other end of Stadium Merdeka at the Jalan Hang Jebat end, next to the YMCA. The YWCA, I beg your pardon, YWCA. At that end, there were at least 1,000 demonstrators led by Datuk Chua Jui Ming. What happened was, the police engaged the leaders of the demonstrators there, and they had a discussion on what to do. Of course, the policeman said that I had to follow orders from the top. I cannot allow you to proceed further. I'm denying your request to enter Stadium Merdeka. It was accepted by the leaders of the demonstrators. They stayed there and they had the consent of the police to make certain speeches, and after which they dispersed. There was no use of tear gas, water cannon, nor were there any arbitrary arrests after or during dispersal of the crowd. That is how crowd control should have been done throughout KL.